people live in houseboats. People live on the canal. Like, you'd have to be a destitute from where I come from to be living outdoors, to be living under the bridge, to be living close to, a canal. Hey guys, welcome to another very interesting episode within my Dutch Culture Shock series. If it's your first time here on my channel, it is good to have you. My name is Blessing Njoh, also known as Mrs. A.k.a. and within this series I talk about all of the odd, strange, weird things that I found living here for almost 2 decades in the Netherlands. And what we are focusing on today is the fact that some Dutch people, not all Dutch people, but it is more or less common practice for Dutch people to live on the canals. And it is actually seen as the life. It is high life when you live on the canal, when you have a houseboat. So houseboats are actually very common in cities with canals and rivers like Amsterdam, Utrecht, and Haarlem. They have these boats permanently anchored on the canals, and people require permits to live there. So all these boats, well, most of these boats are actually very old boats that date way back to over 100 years ago, and they have been renovated and restored, and they now have modern amenities such as electricity, heating, and running water. Okay, but here is why this is strange to me. It is still strange actually, but I remember the first time I came to know that people actually live on boats. Someone told me, and because I was new then, I didn't believe when they told me, because they were like, oh, do you know that people live there? And I was like, yeah. I thought they were actually pulling my legs. You know how it is when you've just moved into a place and they try to like tease you and, kind of like pull your legs and tell you things that are not true, and you're trying to figure out if they are serious, if they're lying. So I just thought they were just making one of those numerous jokes that they used to make with me, and I was like, yeah, whatever, yeah. And they were like, no, seriously, people do live there. And there were little windows, and then I was able to peep through. I couldn't see too much, but from what I could see, from the little that I could see, I could tell that people actually truly live there. I saw personal belongings that didn't really show like these were just boats you just ride when the weather is good, or how do you say, row, right? You row boats, you don't ride boats. And that was when I actually kind of like got a shock of my life, and I didn't know how to respond to it. I didn't know the kind of questions to ask, like, why on earth would you be living in a boat? How did the idea even come about? Well, I have now come to learn that living on a boat was an innovative solution to the demand for housing after the Second World War. But it is something I know now. But I remember when I was told at first, I just couldn't put one and one together to tell myself this is a logical reason why people now live, or why people now choose to live on boats. Now it is no longer the demand for housing. Now it is just a matter of, it is chic, it is classy, it is unique, it is different that I live on the canal. It is so well sought after. A lot of people want to have that experience. And also boats are now recently used as an accommodation option, especially for tourists. When tourists come to the Netherlands, they want to experience the feel of really living or staying on top of water. Like, it is a very unique experience. And so I want to really talk about my personal feeling when I actually got to find out that people actually live on water. In my mind, I'm like, okay, why? To start with, why would you choose to live on water? It is totally different from where I come from. You guys know that I'm going to make that comparison. Otherwise, why are we doing culture shock? Okay, so where I come from, people want to live in mansions. That is the high life. So that is also why it is a culture shock for me. Nobody is dreaming. Nobody is looking forward. Nobody is fantasizing about going to live on the water. Like, are you a mami water? Like, are you an Ayamatanga? If you don't know what these two images are, I am going to find some pictures for you to just to depict what these things are. Those are like spirits, those are like mermaids that people or Africans generally believe live or dwell in water. They are like from the spirit realm, from the, you know, the dark world, the evil atmosphere. So why would you want to go live on water? People are really going to look at you twice. And I do understand that a lot of Dutch people have that fantasy of, you know what, you have that freedom. You wake up to the sound of waterbeds. You don't have neighbors intruding into your privacy. You know, you are all on your own. And when the weather is nice, you just sit out on the water and you look at the cruising boats and all of those fantasies. I mean, in the Netherlands, we have 10 cold months out of 12. You only have 2 months of summer. And you're telling me about going to sit in that cold, slippery boat outside? I mean, for how long are you going to sit down outside listening to the sound of waterbeds? Let's be real here. Let's be honest. Okay, fine, you want to wake up or you want to fall asleep to, you know, the water kind of like rocking you to sleep because the boat is not really stable. It's not really on a solid platform. It's, you know, it all sounds good. But I think, to be honest, for how long are you going to enjoy that experience? Like an African person, an average African person is going to be bored to death. And that is where the culture shock comes in. Like an African person will be bored. Like, what am I doing here? Okay, fine. I have now listened to we grew up listening to chickens. So we can't spend the rest of our lives listening to chickens waking us up every other morning. That is not even like progress. That is not like you're progressing. You're living on water. Like, what are you looking for there? Who do you have a meeting with on the water? Are you a spirit? Are you a witch? Like, that is not even something you want to even imagine. We use these boats, well, not the same kind of boat, but we use boats in general as a form of transportation, not a place people dwell in, not in a place people live in. So major culture shock, major culture shock. And also another thing that is shocking about it is the fact that Dutch people see it as the life. Like, you just, you know, I live on the water. That idea. Like, an African man doesn't want to live on the water. Of all places, like, Africans are really generally scared of spiritual things. They are even more scared of spirits and ghosts than they are scared of, you know, physical threats. So they always associate water beings with evil. Like, they believe that there are things that, you know, there are spirits that live underwater. So people don't even, when people go to the beach, I know people who go to the beach, they don't even want the water, you know, the beach water to touch them, because they just believe that there is an evil spiritual connotation to it. So they want to try as much as possible to avoid it. So people are really scared about anything that has to do with water, going close to water, because they just believe things are living there, spiritual things, if you know what I mean. And Dutch people on average are not really scared. They don't even believe in all of these abstract things, so they are not really scared of, they don't even know about, I don't think most Dutch people even want to believe in voodoo or believe in, you know, evil mermaids and mami waters and whatnot. I want to now show you a few pictures of some water boats in Amsterdam and also a few other places. And also there are a few other luxurious boats with, you know, swimming pools, terraces and all of that. I want to show you these boats for you to get an idea of where I'm coming from and what I am talking about. But one thing that I really specifically have to say is the fact that it is unique to the Netherlands, okay? It is beautiful, to be honest. You know, when you live here or when you live somewhere and you have something as monumentary as that, or whatever it is that could be a monument where you live, you tend to kind of like overlook it. You don't really appreciate it that much. But if you're Dutch, you're a Dutchman, a Dutch woman, a Dutch girl, Dutch boy, or you're just a tourist, a visitor, a foreigner, a migrant in the Netherlands living here, just go to the street corner where you live and just stand on top of a bench. Stand on top of something high and just kind of like view the landscape of where you're standing. You're gonna see how beautiful this country is, to be honest. Like, the landscape is beautiful, especially the canal landscape. Seeing the boats, it is it's just breathtaking, to be honest. And I am someone who kind of like reflect inwardly, so I take my time to kind of like study. I have traveled, I'm well traveled, to be honest, and I've seen places, I've seen beautiful cities, but when it comes to Amsterdam or Dutch landscape, it is just close to none, if that makes sense. So I really appreciate the beauty of it. Sometimes I just stand there, like when it's bright, like not even on a summer day. No, I'm not talking hot summer day, I'm talking like autumn, you know, you just, or when it's about to become like terribly winter period, just go somewhere and just stand there and just look and just kind of like reflect inwardly. You're gonna see how beautiful the Netherlands is, and I really do appreciate it. So yes, even though it might sound crazy that people do live on boats, sound crazy to people like me, people from where I'm from, another disadvantage I would say of living in a boat is the size of it. Like, you don't even have high ceilings, to be honest. You're just crammed up in that boat. It's a boat. No matter how big it is still a boat. It has the shape of a boat. The architecture is that of a boat. The structure, it is a boat. A boat, it is a boat. We cannot call it something else. So it is small. You cannot compare it with living in a house. So it is really, I think, I have never been, I don't think I've ever been in a boat, in a houseboat, but from my imagination, I can imagine that it is really small inside. So if you want to live large, you want to really have a, you know, that big living in a house feeling, you're not really going to get that in a boat. So I feel like in a boat, you're like restricted to the same space. So you're only seeing the same living room, that tiny little corner you're sitting, and maybe your bathroom or your kitchen where you prepare your meal, and that wouldn't do it for me. I think I am going to go crazy. I think an average black person would just go nuts. Like, I want to dive in this water. I want to get away from here. Like, what am I doing here? They're going to go crazy. Like, for how long? Like, we don't even live like that. Like, we want to live around people. We grew up in communities, we grew up in compounds, so we are used to waking up to hearing people, waking up to fighting with people, waking up to cooking with people, waking up to partying with people, waking up to talking with people. We are just people, if you know what I mean. And I'm not saying that Dutch people are not, you know, family oriented whatsoever, but most Dutch people kind of like love to keep to themselves. They are really individualistic. Is that a good word? They are really private people. You cannot really visit a Dutch person. I did a video about that before. Go check it out. You cannot really visit a Dutch person without you informing them beforehand, which personally I think it's a matter of respect. I have a neighbor, she's a very good friend of mine. Of course, sometimes she's African, by the way. Sometimes I pop in, which I shouldn't really be doing too often, but out of respect, sometimes I send her a message like, hey, is it okay for me to step, you know, to come around? You know, it's a sign of respect, because she might just be in her quiet space, just having, you know, some quiet time. She might just be doing something or whatsoever. She might just want to relax, and then I go press on her bell. It's just kind of like disrespectful and disturbing sometimes, not all the time. But we Africans are we're just so communal. We are just so open. We just love to have people around us. We are used to having people around us, but a Dutch person naturally would want to keep that space, that private space. But so I can understand that they appreciate the fact that, oh, finally I can just breathe. I can just be on my own. I can just enjoy nature. I can just, you know, just sit there in my own space. But my question is, for how long? I don't mind, or I wouldn't mind having that moment for a week. Okay, a week, maybe 2 weeks. I might be fine with that, you know, just being away from my husband. I hope he doesn't see this video. Just, you know, just being by myself on my phone, you know, doing my thing, but not for 1 year. No, not for 5 years. No. And I know people who have lived on water boats for 13 years. And I'm like, how? Do you want to become a bird? Like, do you want to become a water bird on a boat? Mba, thank you. Anyways, I am going to leave you with some images, some footage, amazing pictures and videos, maybe just pictures of these canal houses, these boat houses, And I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, you go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That is going to send a signal to me that you really like what I do. And if you have other things or other ideas or suggestions of what kind of other videos that you'd like to see here on my channel, go ahead and drop me all of your suggestions down below in the comment section. And last but not least, guy, lady, if you're not subscribed to my channel yet and you're watching this video now up to this point, that means you have seen something about this video or about me, my personality, that you like. So I would like to ask you to also go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. Also turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified each time I upload a new video. And in case you did not know, I upload new videos every Wednesday and every Sunday. I would love to see you on my next one. Thanks for watching this one. Bye. It is actually a thing of pride to be able to live on the canal, and it's very expensive, you know, the maintenance, the cost of, you know, hiring that space to live there. It is expensive. So that white boat right there is a houseboat. People do live there. People actually live there.